Welcome back. We're still on a point of view. We're talking to Sammy Gyamfi, who is pretty upbeat about the prospects of the gold board. He says they are doing a couple of things: forex accumulation, exchange rate stability, essentially sanitizing the gold value chain. There's a big question for you. I'm going to read it directly because it segues into the next issue. A professor and environmentalist says, Bernard, please ask Sammy Gyamfi to tour the country to see the devastating illegal mining, the devastation illegal mining has caused before he sits down to work. Is the gold board more important now than revoking LI 2462? That's question one. Question two, ask him to define responsible small-scale mining.
Okay, so should we start with question one?
Yeah, question one. Devastation.
For me.
He says, have you traveled to see the devastation in the country? Is that not more important to deal with the issues of devastation of illegal small-scale mining than even what you're doing with the gold board? Then she says, LI 2462 ought to be revoked.
Okay, so let's start from where you ended. Number one, LI 2462 will be revoked by the NDC Mahama government.
Okay.
Immediately Parliament resumes.
Correct.
There were legal issues as to whether or not it should be amended or it should be revoked. Because there was a school of thought that revoking it could lead to a certain vacuum.
Okay.
Okay. And that what had to be cured was the discretion or power given to the president to grant mining leases for people to mine in protected forex zones. Then there was another school of thought who said that, look, let's revoke the entire law. And even if we get a vacuum, we can't come up with a new LI to deal with that. But LI 2462 is poisonous. It should go in its entirety. I think those who make that argument have won, and we are a listening government. Before I came here, I spoke to my senior brother and boss, the Honorable Attorney General and Minister for Justice, Dr. Ayine, and he gave me the assurance. He says, Sammy, it is ready. Immediately Parliament resumes, that LI will be revoked.
Correct.
The most important thing is that even before the revocation, government has begun the fight against the illegal mining menace, particularly mining in forest reserves. Evans, there are about 288, forests in Ghana. About 44 of them had been devastated by illegal mining. About 9 of them, of these 44 areas, 44 forests, were or used to be red zones under the NDC. You could not enter to mine because of their biodiversity significance, okay? So far, we have carried out a series of successful raids. And we have secured 7 out of the 9 forest reserves. The forest reserves which used to be red zones, which were destroyed under the NPP. We have almost secured 7 of them. And the evidence is out there. Look, the Jimra and Jimral Extension Forest Reserves, secured. Afau Hills, Tano Anria, Ofe Shelter Bet, the Subri Forest Reserve, the Anriansu East, Anriansu South Forest Reserve. All of them as I speak to you. Yes, you can. It's possible that you can find some remnants in there. But the main kingpins who were in there destroying the forest have all been booted out. In the process, over 160 people have been arrested. 125 excavators seized. 10 bulldozers seized. 7 pickups seized. And 15 motorbikes seized. And you've not heard that excavators have been stolen because party yeska. You've not heard that we bought drones to fight illegal mining and the drones cannot be accounted for. You've not heard that government appointees are engaged in illegal mining, like you had mayors, DCs, parliamentary candidates, regional ministers under the MPP brazenly engaging in mining in forest reserves. Some were actually even granted leases by the president, like Sampine, the mayor of Kumase. The Mrekudukes are all there. You've not heard even one government appointee engage in illegal mining because the president has sent a clear signal that if you do that, you are a goner and the law will take its course. You'll be held accountable. You understand? So we must admit that what happened in the last 8 years...
But you've heard of the NDC MP for our win, who was accused by his chiefs of engaging in Galamsey, and we don't know if the matter has been investigated. You've heard of that?
Well, I don't know the details, but what I know, before I came here, I spoke to the AG, and he gave me the assurance that all these issues are being investigated, and anybody found culpable will be dealt with in accordance with law. Look, what we had under the previous regime was a charade. There was no fight against illegal mining at all. Listen to me.
No,
there was no fight.
We are here. That's why
at all.
I'm sure that's why they were voted out.
Exactly. There was no fight at all. No, but now you see a genuine fight.
You've mentioned
your own friend, Senyo Husi. You interview him very often. Not too long ago, he was commending the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources for his commitment to the fight against illegal mining. Your other friend at Multimedia, Erastus Asaredonko, I have screenshots of his Facebook post here where he has commended the government for several decisive actions we have taken in the fight. And Bernard, before you change my drift.
I'm still on Galamsey.
Before you change my drift. Look, this is the first time you have seen the Ghana Police Service take center stage in the fight against illegal mining. The previous IGP we had, Galamsey was a no-go area for him. Now you've seen the current IGP and the police service arresting people, seizing excavators. The army is playing its role and all that. Institutions are working. Okay. And now we are even moving beyond the laborers and those, inconsequential people who are being arrested. Very soon in the coming days.
I was going to ask you which of the big wigs had been arrested, because it was one of the major things President Mahama said that, in fact, when we met him as media for his Meet the Press, he said the small fishes were being arrested and big fishes were not getting arrested. So if you've done all of this, how many big wigs? Can you name one or two of the big wigs who have been arrested? That's number one. Let me add a question. Number two, I'll give you two because of time. You did a press conference by a river body in 2020 February.
Yes.
Quite picturesque, showing the devastation of the river Pra. You've mentioned 7 out of 9 forests. Can you give me the same record on rivers too?
No, but you know that it takes time before you can reclaim polluted water. These are rivers which have been polluted with mercury and cyanide in the last 8 years. You don't expect a government to come within 4 years and the water, the rivers...
4 years?
With 4 months. And then the water body suddenly becomes white.
It's because you chose the river body.
Blue as the sky.
I think that was...
4 months, you cannot fix...
No, I just saw you standing with some of the people there, so I was thinking that maybe you would give us...
Of course.
An update that
happening
the rivers are getting better.
You see, at least, let's acknowledge. You see, the fight against illegal mining is a process and not an event. Rome was not built in a day. It is a continuous process. What we promised was a genuine commitment to the fight. And that is what President Mahama is demonstrating. Under him, excavators seized from illegal miners can be accounted for. Under him, persons who have been arrested are being prosecuted.
Why are foreigners being deported without prosecution?
Well, that is something that I personally have had a challenge with. I'm yet to be convinced by the Minister for Interior and the powers that be why they think that route is better. Sometimes there are those who argue that when you keep them here, you know how our criminal justice system is. A simple matter can drag for 2, 3, 4, 5 years. And while the matter is being prosecuted, the person is on bail, and they end up even going back to where they were arrested to cause more devastation. So there are those who think that once you arrest them, you should quickly deport them so that they
but you personally don't believe
they do not continue
you don't
to
believe
that. I am not convinced by that route at all. As I speak to you, I've arrested, I've seen to the arrest by national security of persons suspected to be engaged in gold smuggling. Some of them are foreigners. And I have said that we will not deport them.
So they'll be prosecuted.
We'll get to the bottom of the matter and prosecute them. So that is being done. And aside that, look.
But we needed a few names of kingpins, because I think that was very clear part of the message, that you said you've arrested 125 people. Is there any name of significance? Because don't forget, in dealing with resource issues, you follow the money.
Let me tell you something.
You can pick a miner from a mining site and parade him in a newspaper. The source of this is the money.
Look, that investigation usually takes time. If you see the excavators and you want to know the owners behind it, you want to know directors and shareholders behind companies and their complicity in the commission of a crime, some investigations must go on. Bro, we've been in office for 4 months.
Okay.
But I have good news for you. Mark my words. In the next few days, one of the biggest kingpins in Galamsey and his collaborators will be arrested. That's all I can tell you. And I'm happy that today we have a president who will not openly, brazenly defend illegal mining. Hold on. It's important that we remind them. Because
I know that.
Sometimes, if you don't take stock of where you're coming from, you will not appreciate the progress you have made.
We've been on Galamsey since 20...
So you acknowledge that significant progress has been made.
The other question
and by the way, tell the professor that I travel all the time. I traveled across the country during the campaign. And even when I was appointed, I've traveled across Ghana to all mining regions, engaging small-scale miners, helping to conscientize them on the need for them to engage in legal, responsible mining and so on. And I have seen the devastation firsthand. So
is a state of emergency still on the cards?
State of emergency how?
What do you mean? You don't understand. Now you don't understand state of emergency.
Now we don't understand what.
Now you're asking me what
state of emergency to do what?
Were you not in Ghana in October, November, when everybody was shouting that the president should declare state of emergency?
And you heard Sammy Gyamfi shout that?
No, your party member
supported. I can show you.
I even have a video of your minister now, our minister.
I'm Sammy Gyamfi.
But you work with him.
So
it's the same NDC.
Hold on.
He said a state of emergency should be declared in selected areas.
Do you know why the NDC never issued a statement on that issue?
It doesn't matter.
As a corporate entity, we didn't join that call.
So and you are telling me that the NDC as a party was against state of emergency?
I was against it then, I'm against it now.
Even selected state of emergency in specific areas.
Hold on. Listen. I can point you to a tweet I made in opposition in September of 2024 when I said that if President Akufo-Addo, having spent over 7 years in office, could not fight illegal mining, then the state of emergency is not the solution. He cannot fight it. And that rather, Ghanaians should declare a state of emergency on the government for destroying our water bodies, our lands, and our forest reserves. So I am being consistent. The facts are there. The NDC that I speak for as a corporate body never also supported that call. You know why? Yes, you know why?
There were individuals in NDC.
We have had something better than state of emergency before. Bernard, hold on.
Relax.
Yes, there were individuals who supported it. You're right.
The current minister.
Yes.
There's a video, if you want me to play it, I'll play it.
And I'm saying
where he specifically said the president should declare a state of emergency today with Galamsey in specific areas.
And I am saying that you are right. Individual members of the NDC supported the call. That is not the same as saying that the NDC as a corporate body supported the call or Sammy Gyamfi as a person supported the call.
So now NDC did not support the emergency.
That's number one. Number two, even for the minister and other individuals in the NDC who supported the call, I can defend them and say that the situation that pertained at the time, for which reason some of them decided to support the call for state of emergency, no longer pertains. Today, the government has a policy of not tolerating any form of mining in a protected forest zone.
And today, you haven't changed the airline. So
the airline is
changed the airline. The airline is what empowers. You haven't. The airline is still there. So what do you mean?
No, but if the airline is being there, and yet that law is not being enforced, as President Mahama granted any lease for anybody to go and mine in a forest reserve, and even the ones that have been granted, he says he will not respect it.
Which is why it was funny that the first action was to say the president's power to overrule the minister he's taking that power away. You yourself have said Mahama is not interested in giving anybody the right to
Exactly.
manage
So we are revoking
So it was moot. That whole idea
so we are
of
revoking it.
But that's the
so
point.
we are revoking
but
it.
You see, if
the most important thing is that
be
judge
consistent as politicians.
No, I'm being very consistent. Should I show you my
but you don't
my
speak
tweets?
for yourself alone.
No, the NDC has been very consistent.
Highly significant people in your party
yes,
supported
that is
civil
true.
society.
And I'm saying that they said that
even used it in campaigning.
They said
that the whole nation is asking President Akufo-Addo to declare state of emergency, but because he's not listening.
At the time, there was no fight against illegal mining. Today, there is a fight.
That's your judgment.
That is your judgment.
The civil society is clear. Have you listened to
that? Is the judgment of Erastus Asaridon Kotu. That is the judgment of Senyo Husi. It is not only NDC people talking. Hold on.
That's not even the point.
Let me read some messages to you because we must appreciate that the circumstances of 2024 are not the circumstances of 2025. So you cannot say that some individual NDC members supported the call back then, so they should support the call today. No, that is not the meaning of consistency.
What we need is cogent reasons why what was good for the goose is no longer good for the gander.
And that cogent reason is that the charade you had under Akufo-Addo, where he could brazenly defend Akonta mining, which was captured on tape, engaging in the pollution of the Tano River and the destruction of the Tano Nimri Forest Reserve. You don't have that situation today. President Mahama has directed that all their leases should be revoked, and we are going after the directors. Okay. We are going after the shareholders. So the situation that pertained then, for which reason some individual members of the NDC might have supported the call for state of emergency, no longer pertains today. That's the point I'm making. Today, the police has taken center stage in the fight. We are seizing excavators and they are not flying away. We are not
having no problem.
You must look at the significant progress we are making.
We have not denied that you are doing something on Galamsey. We reward result and not just effort.
Yes.
So is the
and
result.
the result is that we have secured. So today when you go to the Subri Forest Reserve, we've secured it.
Enough. We are looking for Ghana Water to tell us stability levels are improving.
It takes time.
Yes, that's my point. So we want to see, we have not doubted the effort.
And I agree with you.
We are saying
I agree with you, but you need to give the government time. That's all I'm saying.
Fair enough. So
the water bodies will not clear up within 2, 3, 4 months.
The reason there's desperation about Galamsey is that once we see the devastation of the water body and it's not improving, we believe that more needs to be done. So you cannot start beating your chest and saying, well, the previous government didn't do anything.
Oh, I agree.
And we've done
on this issue.
Until we see significant change, Ghana Water tells us that now stability levels are lower. Then we believe that some of the mercury and arsenic and all these things are reducing. We cannot begin to beat our chest. Now, I think there's even one important question for you. What role does...
Can I respond to what you just said?
No,
you are emphatically right.
Yes.
I agree with you that the significant strides we are making in the fight against illegal mining must translate into measurable outcomes, such as low turbidity levels of our water bodies, such as reforestation of the devastated forest reserves and so on. I agree with you. But I believe that you also agree with me that that cannot be achieved in a space of 3 to 4 months.
No problem. I agree with that. Final question on that point. What role does the Gold Board have to play in cleansing the system of small-scale mining and medium-scale that is also done in an unsustainable way?
5 things, and I'll do that in 3 minutes. Number 1, by deliberately pursuing a policy of responsible sourcing and traceability. Ghana currently doesn't have a traceability system which allows you, Bernard, if you buy gold today, you cannot tell where the gold was mined and who bought the gold, where the gold was assayed before it was sold to you. You cannot tell. That is what we call traceability. And it is because we don't have that system. That is why the LBMA doesn't accept our gold. You must have that traceability system. And the Gold Board is working with the World Bank to develop that system. And in the medium term, we'll roll out that system, formalize the sector, working in conjunction with the relevant state agencies, and ensure that there is traceability across the value chain. Once there is traceability, you can enforce responsible sourcing. What that means is that any gold you are bringing me, I will ask you, where is the source? Because there is a system to show what the source, the source of that gold. And if the source is from an illegal miner, or even a licensed miner who mines illegally, because there are many licensed miners who mine illegally, okay? Or a licensed miner who mines irresponsibly.
Okay.
Then the gold board can say that we won't buy that gold.
Okay.
You understand? So that becomes a disincentive for illegal mining. You are denying illegally mined gold of a market as a disincentive.
How are you going to trace it? What old system will you use?
Well, there are many systems. One is a bag and tag technology. So right from the mine where the gold is produced, okay? You see, every concession granted by the Minerals Commission has its coordinates recorded on what we call the MCAS platform of the Minerals Commission.
Okay.
So its GPS coordinates can be found there. And it is tied to that concession. You understand? So you can have a system, this is a lot of technical stuff, you can have a system which is able to tie the gold to that concession. You understand? So there is technology. It involves blockchain technology, QR codes and all that, where once gold is produced, it is put in a box, it is sealed with a unique seal, which has a code in it. It is scanned, it goes into the cloud, and that gold is taken to, say, the district capital to be sold to a gold board buyer. When it gets there and it is assayed and bought, it is put in another box, it is sealed, scanned, the details go into cloud before it comes to the aggregator in Accra.
So you're saying that unsustainably sourced gold will not be bought?
Exactly. So
in Ghana, unless the person
medium term.
Unless the person
in the medium term,
abroad.
when we roll out the system, I tell you.
Okay.
In the medium term, you will not have a market for that.
Okay.
So once that traceability system is in place,
would that not influence smuggling? Just a quick, because if, for example, they know that gold
so you must
buy
tie it to the fight against smuggling.
Okay.
You understand?
Okay.
So if now you cannot separate legally mined gold from illegally mined gold.
But when you
Small
put
scale,
the system in place, you can.
You can.
All right. So the first
and
one
once you do that, it means that you have to tighten the borders.
So sourcing traceability is one. You said there were
That's
five.
one.
Let's go to the
Number two is supporting land reclamation and sustainable initiatives. Land reclamation, sustainable initiatives. So we have a good courses policy. If we are buying gold and we can make profit for the state from the trading of that commodity gold, then we should be interested in using a percentage of that profit to reclaim the lands that, and the water bodies that have been devastated by the activities of unscrupulous people in the sector. So if you look at our acts, the Gold Board Act, we are enjoined to support sustainable initiatives. We will do that. Then number three is to support geological investigations, which is for me the most important solution to the problem to the problem of illegal mining. Today, when you talk to small-scale miners about their biggest problem, they will tell you geological data, lack of geological data, reliable geological data. So what they do, according to them, I learned this from them when I visited, when I engaged miners in Takwa. What they do, you know what they call it? Lottery mining.
Wow.
Try and error mining. Mining like, excuse my language, blind people.
Which is why they can destroy a whole big place
before they get the gold, and then the cost of reclamation becomes so high, so they leave it just like that. And we all know that the Ghana Geological Survey Authority is significantly under-resourced.
So
the
you call it
board,
geological
under
what?
its mandate, will be partnering with the Geological Survey Authority, providing the needed funding for us to produce accurate, reliable geological data.
So that's point number 3.
That will help the allocation of concessions to small-scale miners and help them to mine in an effective and efficient way that mitigates environmental degradation. That's number 3. Number 4 is that we will invest in capacity building for small-scale miners. Some of them have gotten concessions, but they are just digging anywhere. They don't know that there are modern ways of mining that can even optimize recovery and value for them with very little damage to the environment. And when they have damaged the environment, how to reclaim it. So the Act, the Gold Board Act 1140, enjoins us to do that, and we are going to do that. And then lastly, we are going to provide incentives to promote responsible mining.
How?
Because in our price policy, there is a dedicated margin to support what we call good causes, and part of that fund will be used to support those who produce green gold. If you are a licensed small-scale miner and you mine responsibly, and you process the ore responsibly to get your gold, without the use of chemicals, like what people like Asanska, people like Typhoon, and other licensed miners are doing, the gold board will give you a bonus for every gold you sell to us. You get a bonus in addition to it.
Green gold, that's against what gold?
Oh, so the green gold is a term of art.
I know.
It's a
What
very
I'm saying is
popular
that shouldn't that be the standard for everybody?
It should be
Why
the
are you
standard.
rewarding somebody for doing? Why are you rewarding somebody for doing what is right?
No,
As in,
that is
what
not
is
necessarily the
minimum?
standard. That is not necessarily the standard, because somebody, if you have a license and you're mining legally and you still process the what they call black with mercury, you're not breaching any law per se.
Okay.
But we want to move away from processing gold with chemicals and to go to adopt modern, sustainable means of processing gold with very little
But Sammy, you have only
impact
93
on the-
staff. The things you say you are doing are plenty. Sourcing, traceability.
No, the 93 is what we have already. That is why we are recruiting more. By the time we recruit more, we'll be more than 300.
Because this is just under Galamsey.
When you go to the Gold Board website and you go on About Us, you will see our organogram. You will look at the structure we are putting in place. It's a very extensive structure.
Really?
Yeah, I tell you.
We'll come back and read some comments and deal with some contemporary issues, controversies about the CJs, the petitions. People have raised legal questions about how it's gone, and we'll speak to him about that and other issues, plus your comments. Stay with us.